Hello everyone, how are you? Today's video is based on trends, and these trends are mainly the trends that we as teenagers followed on the 90s. We Xennials were teenagers during the 90s, and let me tell you, there was a lot of trends and a lot of things that I'm not really proud to say that I did it. But we had a lot of influences and things that, well, motivated us to do those things. I've seen lately that many of the 90s trends are back, so it's very interesting, things like overalls, and I've seen a few chunky shoes and other things. These are things that I can guarantee you every Xennial did during the 90s. They cannot deny it. So I'm not gonna extend this intro. Let's just start with the video. As usual, I have a phone with the list because it's a bunch of stuff. I divided this in categories, and the first category is fashion. Regarding fashion, we followed a lot of trends, let me tell you. Neon colors, and there were the chunky shoes, the oversized overalls. We call it, at least in Costa Rica, we call it like constructor boots, but there was that specific kind of boots, and there were the Dr. Martens. There were also flannels, and there was crop tops, but there was also like really baggy t-shirts. There was also the clueless fashion, the short plaid skirts and tall to the knee socks, and it was a huge trend. During the 90s, it was all about the cats. We started to see the Converse shoes, and there was a lot of sports gear like Adidas, sweatpants, and it was very interesting, the combinations especially that we were doing, mainly because of the colors and the patterns. The patterns on the fabrics were insane. Second category, TV. You cannot deny that you didn't watch 90210, Saved by the Bell.
When I wake up in the morning and the alarm gets out of warning, I don't think I'll ever make it on time.
Blossom.
Don't know about the future, that's anybody's guess.
Sweet Valley High, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Well, mainly 90210, at least it impacted me a lot because I followed many of the trends. And it's very funny because for me, it reminds me of what I lived during that decade, mainly because as you see the series progress, you see how technology starts to get more involved with everything, cell phones, computers, and many stuff, and that was what we were living. So it brings a lot of funny and nice memories. I came to the point that I remember one of the episodes on a dance that Brenda and Kelly went with the same dress.
Typical.
It's not gonna look good if I'm late. Brenda, how could you?
It was a short black dress, and it had like a white detail. It was off the shoulder. So I remember that for one of the dances that I was invited to, I decided to custom made that dress, and I went with that dress. So that was the extent of the influence that this show had on most teenagers. The third category are movies, and let me tell you, there were a bunch of movies, nice movies, funny movies, romantic movies. The main movie that no one can deny is Clueless. Clueless was epic for us. We also were into She Sold That, 10 Things I Hate About You, American Pie, Now and Then, Cruel Intentions. All these movies impacted us in the sense that we were teenagers. So not only the things that were happening or that we were living, we identified with that, with the fashions, the trends. So we were mimicking everything, hairstyles, clothes, I mean, everything. Category number, it was 4. Technology. Many young generations think that we Xennials are like really old people. Let me tell you, we're not. And yes, we're familiar with technology. We grew up with technology. And it was very interesting because, for instance, for example, computers, we saw and we experienced how fast they advanced, and we had to catch up with them. We carried in our backpacks diskettes. That was a main necessity, and we had special cases for the diskettes. And well, we had our projects for high school, for university, and if we lost the diskette or the diskette stopped working, that was chaotic. We also, we started to see a bunch of CDs, and we moved from the Walkmans and the cassettes to the Discmans. So we will carry at least a couple of CDs with our Discman, and we will carry a bunch of batteries, and that was the thing. During the 90s, it was all about the Discmans. Let me see, the disposable cameras. Oh my God, we will go to the beach or wherever you go. It was easier to get a disposable camera because it meant that you didn't have to buy the film, and you didn't have to put the film and everything, and when you finished taking all the pictures, you were supposed to rewind it manually, or some cameras will do it for you. But the risk of opening the camera and wasting all of your pictures because it was not properly rewinded, that was the worst. So disposable cameras were saving us to keep our memories. It was pretty interesting. Technology-wise, it was incredible. It was such a rush. Cell phones, the huge bricks, because first they were really big, and how they started to get small and started to get a lot of features. So I think that we can dedicate just one episode to only technology, so I'm gonna move on. Number 5, what were we reading? Magazines. We were reading Teen Beat, Tiger Beat, Bop. We were reading Anne's Rice Vampire Chronicles, especially the Vampire Diary. The Vampire Lestat, Queen of the Damned, and Interview with a Vampire. And when the movie came, Interview with a Vampire, it was the best thing that happened because the movie is really close to the book. It's a really good movie for all those vampires and Anne Rice fanatics. We love that movie. And the fact that they were able to get Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt in a movie, it was just the best. We were also reading Delia's catalog, and I remember being subscribed to this catalog and the expectation of getting the catalog and seeing all the fashion trends and ordering and everything. Every teenager from the 90s, every girl's, mainly, we were all subscribed to Delia's catalog. School supplies. What were the trends that we were following? First thing that was really fashionable was the JanSport backpacks.
They were good because they were solid colors, but you would always look for that patch in the corner that said JanSport, and if you had the knockoff, you weren't as cool.
Nope.
And everyone had one JanSport backpack. We also had, many of us will cover our notebooks with pictures from the magazines that we used to buy with the guys or the girls that we liked. And, Trapper Keepers.
Trapper Keepers, you guys.
You were no one unless you had a Trapper Keeper.
Yep.
For those who use them, you know what they are. I'm going to insert pictures so that you can see the Trapper Keepers. The gel pens, but with pastel colors. We started to write in a bunch of colors, and we still did a bunch of letters and things with that. Plastic cases for our pencils. First, when we were in the 80s and we were in elementary school, and we were using these pencil cases that had mechanic parts that you will press buttons and the sharpener will pop up or the ruler will be hitting somewhere. So we moved from that to just plastic pencil cases where we will throw everything in. Music, let me tell you, the 90s were very interesting. During the last years of the 80s, we started to see the trend of the boy bands, specifically with the New Kids on the Block. And in the 90s, these increased, and we had NSYNC, and we had Backstreet Boys, and we had Five. We had, well, this is a girls' band, the Spice Girls. And we started to see a bunch of bands, usually with 5 members. And besides that, well, we started to see Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and Jessica Simpson, and we had Fiona Apple, we had Tori Amos. I mean, there's a bunch of people, and we still listen to them. You cannot deny it. Look, nothing like the Rachel's haircut. If you watch Friends, you remember Rachel's haircut. Pictures here. We all girls wore this haircut at least once during our teenage years. Then when Tiffany Amber Thiessen, I think it was at the last years of Saved by the Bell, or I think it was when she moved to 90210, she was using really short hair above. We started to do that, and well, there were also really crazy trends where we will braid our hair and we will use tiny things to hold our hair, and a bunch of hair will be sticking around. It was crazy. I mean, the trends with the hair was crazy. Oh, hard rock. There were a bunch of guys that we loved, and some of them we still love. I think that for me, the main guy that it was just an epic love, it was Jared Leto in My So-Called Life. Catalano, Jordan Catalano. I mean, every girl wanted to have Jordan Catalano as their boyfriend. We were in love with Luke Perry, with Joey Lawrence, with Jonathan Brandis, with Andrew Keegan, Freddie Prinze Jr., Mark Paul Gosselaar, Ryan Phillippe, and Brad Pitt, among many other guys. And I'm sorry guys, I'm excluding the girls, but I know that there were a lot of girls that also were very like trendy for guys, and every single guy was in love with them. And finally, the last category is more a little like personal items that we were using. For example, we were using Ladies Speed Stick Teen Spirit. That was the deodorant that every single girl will use. We will smell like CK1 from Calvin Klein, or we will smell like cool water. And shampoos and things like that. Well, we had herbal essences. Those were like the biggest things, but those 3 fragrances or 3 things were staple. Those 2 perfumes and that deodorant. I think that that's it for today. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please make sure that you hit the thumbs up. that you leave comments below. What trends did you follow? Which were your favorite trends? And do you regret any of those trends?
Dishonor on your whole family.
I'm glad that we didn't have social media because many pictures that could have been running around do not exist, and I'm happy about it. So make sure that you leave those comments below. I would love to read them. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure that you subscribe to this channel and that you turn on notification bells so that you know whenever I upload a video. And well, hopefully, as I said, you like the video, and I will see you next time. Bye.